Okay, so I've developed a data pack called ZMI, Zingle's Modern Interiors, or Zingle's Modern Infrastructure. I don't know, I might branch out. I'm here on a server, as you can see. I'm not going to give an IP or anything, but as you can see, there's at least 2 players in the corner here. You've got OE Zingle, that's me, and Null Air. I've got performance mode on right now. And what I've noticed with a lot of furniture data packs is that you either need to have a resource pack or it constantly loads furniture entities, and that's just a lot of server strain. So knowing how hard it is to run a server, I decided to kind of branch out and see what I could do with developing a data pack. I've never done this before. This is my first shot, and things are constantly changing, but basically my system is that I've got a render distance, and as you can see here, it's fading out, fading in on the other side. There's a couple issues here because I've done a bit of a multiplayer hack, but hopefully that can be patched in the future. And if you, not toggle, slash display ZMI. Actually, I'll just show off the help. I developed a help menu, so if I can't reload on this server, but if I slash function ZMI help, load that up. See, we've got 2 triggers here. First of all, spawn eggs, very useful. That'll give you spawn eggs for creative mode, and then triggering render distance. This is a new feature of 4.2 or 4.1, I can't remember. Set my render distance, set, so the minimum is 5. It's pretty good for like lower end PCs, and again, this will mostly affect your own computer, a home computer, whatever. This is all entity lag. As you can see here, we've got 200 entities. I'm still running at the 60 FPS mark. It's dipping down, but that's just normal Minecraft things, Like, I'm not seeing a huge dip in performance. I'm sure if I unlimited my FPS, we'll see unloaded, we've got 200, loaded, we've got low 200s. It's a very minimal difference. So all of these are super optimized entities. They're all using marker tags. They're all on fire to fix lighting. And every now and then you'll see errors. Again, this is something that could get sorted out in future versions. It's a lot of work to develop a data pack like this, and single player tends to work better, as far as I can tell. But part of the reason, if you look at TPS here, we've only got 19.99 TPS, which is the regular TPS, even if I disable file slash, should be ZMI, yeah. So 4.2, this is just a test release for the server, but you can see here, LRTPS, same amount of TPS, in some cases less, that's just how it goes. But the server isn't struggling at all. I must point out that there is in fact a plugin running to disable movement of armor stands without teleportation, like they don't have any AI going on. But again, my pack will do that for you. And if we want to, I've got performance mode on. That's a creative thing, and you can see my render distance when it loads up. Works better with the resource pack. I'll show the resource pack now. To be done. So 5 is like a little bit iffy. You see a lot of rendering errors over here. And we can actually change that. We can go trigger, like let's say we have a very, very fast computer. I do actually. So we'll set it to 13. 13 is too high. So if I object, I think the highest number is 10. It'll loop back around actually automatically, just so that you can trigger it to go up 1 each time. Sidebar ZMI. And another thing I've done here, I just noticed that a lot of data packs take any variables they want. See, yeah, null air is at 10, I'm at 5. Trigger ZMI render distance set 10. And the default is actually 7. I think that's a pretty good average. So yeah, now you can see there's way more furniture loaded. It's technically 20 because it's a radius, not a diameter, but I'm pretty sure that's fine. Like, I don't care too much. Apparently Mojang servers are having issues today. Yeah, so the basic idea is that you can sit in these chairs. They won't cause lag or anything, and they unload as you get farther away, which I think this is a really good example of it. You never have furniture just sticking around. As I fly back, you're missing out on furniture as well. So this this airport has a whole lot of entities. And actually, when 1.16 comes out, it'll be very nice that we have invisible item frames. This is available if you're running in a snapshot. You can actually run the data pack, and it will make them invisible. I've just got it running for all of them. I think it does technically increase lag because they don't have an invisibility tag in 1.15, but I've seen like a 2 TPS version between the most optimized version and the least optimized version. In a bit, I'll be talking about development and how much that, how that lag was actually decreased. But right now, I'm just going to show you exactly what all the furniture looks like. Oh, I've actually got a couple missing here. I'm just going to jump in for a second. I've got chair backed and tall table here. I've done some testing. Yeah, Mojang servers are down. Or I haven't been playing for a while. This session's been open a long time. But as you can see, you know, every single chair and table loads in. There's a couple issues, but again, that can be fixed. Or I'll be remodeling in 4.3. I don't know, at this point it's kind of supposed to be as open to the community as possible. This lamp kind of gets on my nerves. It's a very tall lamp. See stuff unloading. Oh, that's because I've got my render distance very low on this server. So render distance set to, let's say 10, yeah. There we go, we can see stuff popping into existence. So here's the full spread of all the furniture you have. You've got a bar stool. This is improved. I'm gonna bonk and bonk. I'll be releasing this. It's probably like U2.1 or something. I don't know. It'll be on the same Patreon post if you've followed along, because you can actually use rotation tags in models. I didn't know that. Blockbench didn't tell me that, so I learned that the hard way. You can see in the offhand. I like performance mode being on. This is literally disables survival. So let's talk about the chair for a second. I guess we're going to get into development now. The chair actually has a back tag, and this is the same model between the two. You know, they look very similar. I'll actually grab the chair and the chair backed. Chair backed. And chair. This is the best I could think of doing the creative menu. So chair and chair backed. Chair is a one-directional item. As you can see here, it's just a fire charge. It's a circle. There's no implicit direction. And if I turn off performance mode, turned off performance mode, it takes a little while because of optimizations. What I've done is I've got a cycle for crafts, which is checks for performance mode, error messages, and of course crafting, which is the placement of the chairs, and survival modes type crafting menu where you can throw the furniture item and you get a chest. I'm not gonna deal with that right now. So as you can see, the particles are on, and the particles are like, I think that's only player side lag. So if I just trigger performance mode, if you're like a super user or whatever, you know exactly what you're doing, particles stop showing up. So chair is a one-directional entity, but then backed chair is a four-directional entity, and it faces the direction. And this is all done while it gets loaded in. So if I zoom in here, it's kind of hard to tell. You can see that armor stand moving down, and that's just a marker armor stand. And I've set up a bunch of tags so that you too can develop your own. What I've done here is I've actually switched between the backed tag and the non-backed tag. Got rid of these details. Oh, that breaks because of the marker tag. So due to lag reduction, you can kind of see as the armor stands with marker tags fizzle out of existence of render distance, it doesn't care about what it's holding onto. That's just a preventative measure. I couldn't not do that. It's kind of unfortunate, but I don't think it affects too many applications. As long as you're getting a straight on shot or you just want to sit in a chair, you're doing pretty well. So yeah, what's going on here is that the backed tag is checking if it's not a backed tag on this this item frame. The item frame does it all. If the item frame isn't giving out a backed tag, then it places these two end rods. But if it is backed, it destroys the two end rods and it places this rotatable function, which is actually a birch trap door. Just again, to allow people to run in vanilla. Because the whole idea is you could run this on a server, you could run this in a survival mode world, and if you shared it around with your friends without the resource pack, you would do fine. Yeah, both of these are, again, looking pretty fine in vanilla. They can't look perfect, obviously. There's some limitations to vanilla model crafting, and I didn't want to ruin frame rate. You can see over there, actually, there's a whole bunch of them. And because they're not loaded, frame rate is fine. We get over here, we go from 92 to 200 entities, 300 entities, we fly back, we're fine again. And even then, 300 entities isn't too bad. I think 600 is about when player side lag starts showing up, and I haven't noticed that. Coffee table. There's a couple small bugs just from the fact that they're unloading and loading so quickly. I don't think those can be really like fixed out without overlapping entities, but today I just want to talk about development. So we're going to look at render. This runs every 5 ticks. I was wrong. I wanted to change that to 4, I think. But that's fine. And then over here we've got crafts. And crafts run every 20 ticks. Okay, that's a lot slower than I remember putting it. Okay, so as you can see here, what I've done is, I feel like it's a bit of a hack job, but at least there's nothing showing up in in-game chat. Not even here, actually. I'm going to scroll past all the boot up logs. You can't see anything here, even though it's supposed to be running every 5 ticks. There's no issues with the fact that there's no functions here, so as far as I can tell, that's the best solution. And I'm going to try and develop a tool so that you can automatically just select what you want up to 20. You could even disable vanilla, I guess. I just like having it. That was a weird visual artifact. That didn't happen on my screen. So yeah, basically there's a whole bunch of stuff here for basic stuff. This is making sure that an in-range check gets applied. There's 2 basic tags to every single... So you see we've got a whole bunch of named entity tags, and there's a couple that are depreciated here. No, there's not actually. Chair backed got depreciated to just chair and then also backed to be more in line with couch. And I can show that model off too. That's a pretty simple way to change your model between 2 versions. So yeah, there's a couple things like replace isn't working right now, but it's supposed to. I don't know why. I'll check that out. Empty is important. That's for if it's actually empty. But again, you don't need to worry about that. The only thing you need to worry about is in range and loaded. So if I fly out, you'll see that tags list no longer brings up in range or loaded. And I don't think it's physically possible to get in range and not loaded at the same time, because as soon as something's in range, or I guess every 5 ticks, it runs through this, which does a whole bunch of basic things. Some of this is just for my models. That's kind of the problem with me being the developer. You can see here, this is a general function just to make sure that it kills them or make sure they can't spawn if the furniture entities are close enough to someone holding a furniture armor stand. And that's, I feel like that's a pretty good function. You can hold it in your offhand. I added that just by changing a whole bunch of NBT data, and that actually worked really well. Then over here, again, another function you might get used to is direction, but that's only if you're looking for like a 4-directional or 2-directional item that is specific with custom models. Like coffee table here, that's a custom model. I had to make sure between the 2 items, between the 2 scoreboards, whether or not it was facing this direction or that direction, just by checking that score. And the stairs uses a similar function that I should remove that, because there's a tag. There's a tag for east there. That tag right here is actually for the stairs. I realize now I could do that a lot more simply. And then there's a couple other things. Corner, cornered, corner and corner tag. Cornered might be depreciated at this point. I could check in. Corner is to check these legs get their own corner tags, so you can just kill at e tag equals corner. Oh no. Cornered is the tag for the corner. So I just killed off the rendering entities, and now you see they're gone. But before I was going to say that, there's the connect, and that's for connected textures, which basically automatically spawn a leg underneath it if it's at the corner. So yeah, direction, Arrow summoning has actually been replaced with armor stand, but I still like to call it an arrow, you know. Wall item stuff, that's for cabinets. You can again model those. Those are a little harder to work on, especially because I haven't found a simple system to copy over tags. You'd have to put that in your own function. But again, you can do that. You can just copy this from this section and put it into your own. So we're going to look at where these custom models come from. You can see there's only one function in render right now. That's vanilla. Vanilla is full of a whole lot of code. This is literally just every single rendered section of the code. You can see here actually cornered leg thing. That's the corners for connected textures, and I've thrown them into render vanilla. If you need that function and you want to remove vanilla, I would recommend just going ahead and copying it over. But again, it should stay in vanilla because it makes more sense there. So we've got a bar stool. Bar stool is about like, I don't know, 7, 8 entities, including the horse entity as one entity, because I don't really... Okay, so you can see here in coffee table, I had to use the scores tag just to see what the direction was. And as a developer, I just decided to make every single scoreboard include the prefix ZMI. Sidebar. You can see ZMI, arrow direction, time, performance mode, and render distance. And I'll get to error messages soon. That's just a fun little thing. So chair renderer. The chair renderer is pretty big. The coffee table is also big. There it is. The reason that this one is so big is because it's actually got 2 separate models built into one model. Initially, I had 2 separate models, and I realized, hey, I can actually put these together. So, tag equals, and just look for backed. So you see here, if it's not backed, it adds those 2 lines. My notepad is really freaking out over OBS. I hope that doesn't show up. Yes, these 2 cross lines, those are rendered there if it doesn't have the tag backed. And this here runs only if it's backed to add the rotational part. And then the stairs are literally just like 4 custom models. Again, that could be cleaned up a little bit, but yeah, so I'm going to talk about like actual development now. And basically the process of development is you check for every item frame and run it as that item frame as long as it's in range, and then you, at the end of your model, give it the loaded tag. So you can see, I'll try and find a simple model here, maybe the lamp. No, wait, the lamp is kind of complex. Sure, you know what, we'll just do lamp. Okay, so you can see here, it's got the tag lamp, and you have to check that it's not loaded currently, because if it's currently loaded, you want to be loading a whole bunch of entities. It's got the in-range tag, then you know it should be starting to load. And of course, the name is Furniture Renderer. You can't name item frames, I don't think, in 1.16 either. So it's a bit of a failback, you know? Like, unless an operator places something with the complete correct tags, you shouldn't have an issue. And I might be changing it to ZMI Furniture Renderer, but that could break a couple things. So maybe I'll just change it to ZMI Furniture. I don't know. So yeah, you can see here, it's got a one-directional rendering path. Not path, I don't know, just one directional render. It can only render in one direction. If I place a lamp, you can see it's one directional. But where does that one directional argument come from? It comes from furniture. It comes from furniture. And you can see here, it's got the tag lamp and one directional. So I'm going to move into the development one. Oh, you know what? The last thing I'll show is all hell breaks loose. There's a couple. Oh yeah, I still have to change XP, but you can do that manually as well. Like, nothing that I've done wrong can't be fixed by you. If you want to develop something, it should be future proof. I just have to fix my own little problems. So if I remove objectives, so the direction, this is a big one. You're gonna lose furniture and the direction it faces. So it just automatically assumes it can fix it by changing everything that doesn't have a value to 1. If I remove arrow time, this one is a lot less of an issue. It just literally checks for when it should start killing the armor stands used for like the trail. You can see as I showed earlier, the one that kind of falls down. See here, that armor stand moving down. If you remove that objective, it doesn't know when to kill itself. Performance mode, again, it'll just be removed, but it'll reload itself and it should be fine. Or, I don't know if it's even reloaded. Has it? It hasn't. The only one that has to be reloaded is the direction one, and that is available to players. I noticed actually that some plugin servers wouldn't. Some servers with plugins would have issues with that. You have to restart the world instead of reload data packs because that could be an issue. Honestly though, like, I don't know. I don't think there's really a solution to that because otherwise vanilla servers wouldn't have any functionality either. And the render distance one, again, it'll automatically fix itself, but it'll be reset to 7. That's the default. All right. So now we're going to take a look at the development data pack, which comes with full documentation for you. I don't know. There's a pastebin link. Go ahead quickly and just disable the current one and enable the dev pack. So what the dev pack does is it's a little different. It comes with the... I don't plug my Patreon in this one. The link is just, again, get started, but in pastebin if you want to have it online, bookmark it, I don't know. So I totally recommend unzipping this if you want to do any actual work. And the directory we care about is ZMI, functions, and you can see here it's got the basic same outline as the original. Even help is here. I don't know if help is very necessary for developers, but I left it in there just because I click the help menu. And I've taken out some of the furniture here. You can see there's only a couple left, and every directory now has an example. And this is kind of just all the language I used to develop these. So you can see here, direction item consists of this list, furniture name. You can choose a furniture name. That's up to you. I prefer to use, like, as you saw, chair backed would be chair and then uppercase backed. But even that got removed so that I could have an additional tag. And then direction. Those are the 2 required tags. So direction will be 1D, 2D. That, again, isn't as used. It's kind of just a custom model thing that I had to do. 4D, this one uses rotation tags, but if you want someone to not give it all directions, then you'll actually get only 4 directions of particles if facing, the distinct directions. Whereas 8 directional will show particles at the all time. But it will also use rotation tags. The 1D for speed will literally not use rotation tags, so you can't rotate anything with a one directional furniture item. Other tags, wall items, but again, you have to pass the tag yourself between the 2. I was going to use data modify, but I can't. They don't organize well. Like, unless there's very specific documentation for it, I don't think I could do that. So maybe I'll change the tags, but I don't know. And then backed, yeah, I've showed the chair. I'll show it again. Chair, backed. You see, if there's a backed tag, it'll do different things. So backed, again, you just have to write the model yourself, and connected will give you automatically generated legs for a couch, table, whatever. Oh, the table's not included in this pack, no wonder. Yeah, I've taken out some of the existing models just for, I don't know, like cleanliness. Because the connected tag is basically the same between the 2. But you can see there are end rods to support it as it were connected, but there's not one on every single layer. And you can do this almost indefinitely. I think it's like 5, which is a very large area if you consider 5 is also the maximum render distance. And then these are the arrow items I used. So fire charges, sticks, arrow, arrow. But again, you could totally change that. And render, again, example. This one has a lot of documentation. There's some required NBT tags, disabled slots, fire. Fire is actually for the marker rendering, because otherwise you need Optifine, but fire just forces lighting, basically, to happen. Marker, like doubles performance. Silent, it seems like it's okay, but then if you have a really low render distance and or you're playing on a server, you'll notice it. And what the default furniture execute tag would look like is something like this. As long as it's in range, it's furniture name or it's loaded. You can see here backed and inverse backed. And this is some of the tags I like, and here's what the required tags would look like. Custom model data is included for a couple. I guess you could add it to a custom resource pack, but again, that's another dependency for a player to install. So that's up to you. And yeah, you can use some of the existing ones like Endrods have that kind of metallic texture. Iron blocks have a circular base for their first custom model data. I could probably change around those numbers, but I think that's fine. I prefer this armor stand generator. It's open source. It's really easy to use. And most importantly, I can use it on a second monitor with the game still open. That's nice. So yeah, what I like to do is if I'm doing a specific pose, I like take those and just copy them to the end of the tags that I generated with the armor stand generator. You can kind of just slot it in to the execute part. But also, if you get quick enough, you'll literally just end up copying command blocks, I find. So this is a horse sitting on an armor stand. You can actually make it a marker, but then you have to resize your armor stands. Again, that's my fault. I should just take the time to do it, but I don't. Tag here for rotate. This is an important one. If you're summoning something that you want to face the right direction, you give it the tag rotate, and that tag will teleport it to the closest direction item within a certain radius, just that you don't get like a whole bunch of them facing the same direction. And then this is a basic one, but the pose here is actually an armor stand with an end rod facing straight up, and that's negative 60 degrees. It's a very specific one. Also, I like to include 2 hashtags at least, so that I can have fun little markup. It makes it easier for me to read it. So yeah, we've gone through these, and spawn eggs, look at vanilla, and look at example. Now this is very easy. Basically, it just calls these 20 custom, again, I don't know if I mentioned this. You can name your function custom 1 through 20, and it'll get called automatically. Custom1.function. If I open that up and run, say hi. And again, render will get called every 20 ticks, and crafts will get, render 5 ticks, crafts 20 ticks, and you'll see, hi, look at that. So yeah, you just name it custom 1 through 20. Eventually that process should be automated. But again, the basic process for spawn eggs is you literally just get given an egg with furniture name and furniture name. So the display name of the item and the name of the entity. Moving through to crafts, this is where it gets kind of hectic. So vanilla crafts looks something like this. This section is for the survival crafting grid, which will just throw up a chest wherever the item has been dropped, the furniture item. And crafting recipes are hard. So if you look at, also look at vanilla eggs, which basically just literally runs it as every bat named armchair and then kills every bat named armchair. So on for bar stool, cabinet, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Again, as you'll see in the documentation, furniture can be changed out to anything as long as you point all your functions in the right direction. And there's 2 pieces of code here. So example eggs, again, furniture name, furniture name, furniture name. You just need to run the function. You need to find the entity, run the function, and then kill that entity. Now it's done its job. You don't want to have a whole bunch of basic entities. So I can't kill the minecart chest because they have a loot table no matter what for some reason. And what I generally do is, you can see here the MBT has been left out. Because what you want to do is I'm going to close the game here actually. Open up the game, go to settings, log, and then you're good to go back into the game. You get this game output. Clear the logs when it starts up, and load a whole bunch of stuff. Clear that. I don't really care about it until we get to the loaded game. Bonk. Bonk. Okay. Apparently dolphin isn't found. Example doesn't load properly. Didn't know it tried to load, but yeah, it's impossible to load. All the functions are broken. Don't use example. Use custom one, just write a new one. And generally what you would want to do when developing is copy the development. Yeah. So we've got game output open here. We can just clear these logs and grab ourselves a minecart chest. Now, technically you do have all slots in the minecart with chest, but it automatically summons with these 9 filled in and these 9 filled in, so you have the 9 in the middle. And what you would do is you would take your items, let's say we want like a half-powered rail or whatever, I don't know, up to you. And then we can do data get entity add e type equals chest minecart limit equals 1 sort equals nearest, bam. And we can't copy from this, but what we can do is we can go over here and you'll see there's the item tag. We can just take that, copy it, and then paste it into the NBT tag so that it checks properly. That's it. And then you have to put all your furniture names in, whatever. And I think that wraps it up at this point. It's a lot of slogging through. The hardest part will be render, because you just have to build a custom model. And what I do for render is, you might have seen it around, you've got these kind of render towers where basically I build up, well, first this is the bush one, for example, summon an item frame 1 block above with all the same tags and all the same NBT as what it would for a player, just 1 block higher. Tags it with in range. This one kills it all, and then this is what I use to render stuff. So if I disable the data pact, this is the easiest way I've found to do it. Just don't put slashes in front of your commands, because otherwise you'll have to like Control H all of it. So summons it, it's in range. You can delete that item, doesn't really matter. Bonk, bonk. There we go. So these are all just posted. They can be posted directly into render. This can be put directly into your custom like /furniture/ whatever you want to call it. Like this one is /plant/bush. And then in range gets done automatically. Killing also gets done automatically. That's basically it. That's the basic functions. You just have to add eggs and crafting if you want people to be able to use it quickly. Even if you don't, though, you can just leave it out. If you want something that only like operators could use, or if you want to make something quickly for yourself for builds, you don't need to develop the full system. You could just put in a render tag and you could put in the initial function. You could even just run the function. You could put in the render tag, and run the code from here. Because all this does is, it might be too long. It isn't. Okay. You got a bush right there, right? So it's actually a very simple process aside from the modeling, and the ZMI data pack takes care of the rest of it for you. Yeah, so developing is actually not that painful. You'll see here, everything renders, but only like half of it can be actually created. That's just to create a system where you can easily take code without like worrying about what everything does. I don't know, I think it'll be kind of simpler. If you want everything though, just look in the minimal pack. So yeah, that's kind of it. Just make a copy and start developing custom functions yourself.